Hello and welcome to a brand new year in a brand new season of What's on Your Shelf podcast. Thank you so much for journeying with us through the previous season and ushering us into this new one where we are lining up a lot of exciting events and experiences in this whole world of books and literature. Whether you're a regular member or just joining us, welcome to this ever-growing community around what's on your shelf. And this year, we promise you a lot of exciting stuff. We are going to travel through shelves, both locally and internationally. We're going to bring you to events where people will be talking about books. We're going to journey through book clubs. So if at all your book club is out there watching us today, we'll be happy to sit with you guys and discuss the books that you're discussing. But welcome to a beautiful new year and a beautiful new season. I'm your host, Mulure Mike. And as I've always had fun in taking you through different shelves today, to start us off, what a beautiful way to start us off and meet our first guest of this brand new season.
My name is Wendo Marandu, and I'm 13, and I go to German school. I do many different things. I love reading books. I like to cook fun. I do many sports like basketball, swimming, tennis. I also play music. If God was so, nice or loving, what would be happening? Or what would be like having these like plagues pandemics, or like the war in Israel and Ukraine, and the war in Israel and Gaza and Ukraine and Russia and the other wars in Sudan and other countries. I love reading in nature and also my bed. I'm bed comfortable. Okay, I love nature. Food makes me happy.
I think one of the things we've experienced that you guys have not experienced is Wendo playing the bass. Tell us about this.
This is a double bass. It's a half bass. Well, it's basically a double cello. If you're familiar with the instrument, a cello, it's just a normal string instrument. It's the same of a cello, but it only has 4 strings: E, A, D, G. And I used to play this instrument at Safaricom Youth Orchestra, and that's where different kids from different backgrounds come together and play music with our conductors, Levi Wataka and Duncan Wambugo, and we would perform in different occasions, like if you maybe don't know about it, but the BC Jazz concert that happened in Carnival last year, and we also performed in Karura Forest, different areas, and we also have graduations.
Yes. How did you find yourself playing a double bass?
Well, in my old school, Kavina, there used to be this girl, and she would play this big instrument, and I would see her rolling it on her case, and I'll be like, "What's this?" So I went to my music teacher, and she told me about this double bass, and I told my mom that if because I was doing piano then, if I got a distinction, she promised she would buy the bass for me. So when I finished school, I got a teacher, and I started playing, and then my sister was in the orchestra, and then she invited me to join, so I auditioned and I got in, started playing with different people, and I was the youngest then. I was 9 when I joined. I think I was 8, 9, and it was a big instrument, so it was a bit tough to learn, but it was nice. Yeah.
It's still taller than you.
No.
You do so much, and I've also seen you play basketball, you cycle, you swim. How do you navigate all these different genres of sport?
Well, most of the sports that I do are normally at school, but I also do cycling around my compound or cycling with my friends who live in the area. We normally go around like the different roads, hills, just to have fun. But also, I think depending on my mood, I just swim. Like, for example, when I'm not kind of tired from an exam, or I come home and I'm kind of bored, because my parents are not really for watching TV a lot, so I just find myself doing different sports. It keeps me active. It keeps me controlling my energy, because I have lots of energy. So I would also like mostly do lots of sports on the weekends. And I think if you get the hang of it, it just comes. It just comes, yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about your basketball.
Well, I play basketball at my school. I'm a defender. They call me the best defender in my school, but it's because we only have a girls basketball team from the ages of 13 to 16, and we're not like a big team, but we've kind of won a lot of things. Like we won Kaiso at Hillcrest last year. We were really happy about that. We made our coach proud. We were the first basketball team to win a competition at Hillcrest from our school. So I like basketball. It's kind of dangerous, but being a defender, I love taking the ball from people. It's just like, I kind of like save the thing.
Yeah.
But I also find it a good way to let out all your energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard your mom talk about your cooking, that you're one of the best in the game.
I wouldn't know about that.
Yeah.
But we all play a part in our school. Yeah.
Yeah. So you cook. It's one of your...
Yeah, for fun.
For fun.
Yeah, for fun.
Tell us about one of your favorite recipes.
Well, I mostly make different pastas, like recipes. So like it can be like, the long spaghetti, the short ones. My favorite is making chicken mushroom pasta. Yeah, I first made it at my friend's house when we went for sleepover. She is the one that taught me how to do it. So every time I'm at home and I'm kind of bored and I don't know what to do, I make it, yeah.
Yeah. So does that mean that we are likely to enjoy chicken mushroom pasta, guys?
Yeah, I'll find a way to make it for you.
All right. I saw a video of you somewhere where you were just talking about books, and I was amazed at how much well-read you are just at 13. Where or how did you start? When did you start reading?
Okay, when I started reading, I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
But I was young. Yeah. We have many books at our house. And reading books has always been a thing that my parents supported. So from going from adventure books to learning new things, like things that have morals and stuff like that, I'm not so sure when.
Yeah.
But I remember I read for fun, like for entertainment.
What would you say sparked your love for reading at such a young age?
I think before I said about how my parents are not really for the idea of watching. Normally when people, like my classmates would come home, they would probably like watch TV. But my family's not like that. We rarely have the TV on. My parents, I would be like, oh, can I watch like something on YouTube or Netflix? And they'll be like, no, Wendo, you should read a book. So I wouldn't be happy about that. But I started reading books, and every time I'd ask, they'd probably say yes, sometimes they'd say no, but the majority was saying no. And when they kept on saying no, I suddenly stopped asking. I started asking, could you buy me this book from Textbook Center? Could you do this? And then they'll say yes. And that's why I kind of found my love for books, because they were kind of like a distraction. Like I would read them and I would learn new things, and then I'd also like but like when I read them, I would picture myself where they are, because some of the writers like Enid Blyton, would like have a really good imagination. They would picture everything so you could experience that, so you could feel like you were there with them, and it would entertain me.
Yeah. How would you say your school has also helped shape your love for reading or maybe learning?
Last year when I joined class 8, we have this thing called ateliers in our school. They're basically these small clubs, but they're kind of like lessons. Like there's like cooking, there's gardening, there's IT, and I got into African literature. So last year I ended up reading 20 books, and 11 of them were African books, not African books, but African writers, and also about Africa.
Yeah.
And the school kind of helped it because we were supposed to, it were kind of like motivating us. They were like, if you read like I don't know, finish a book, we'd have this small branch. Everybody would bring something like a potluck, and we'd all eat books and eat not eat books,
Yeah.
but eat food, and just share about what if we're liking the book or not, what's standing out for us, and we'd have different hosts. Like sometimes, for example, I'll be the host and I'll be asking you guys questions about your books, and then it kind of like bring us together. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, to the juiciest part of this whole conversation now, take us through your shelf. What's on your shelf?
Well, on my shelf, I have different authors. They're mostly adventure books. For example, Treasure Hunters. It's a adventure book about kids learning about the ocean and experiencing things. Some of them are also about family issues, like how like the family the went bankrupt, the families are losing money, and then how they had to survive. Like for example, Billionaire Boy. I read it when I was like 9. And it explained how like he went from having everything in the world to having nothing, and then like I couldn't really picture that, so it's like kind of like something learning something new about that. Also, something about like having crushes, like Dog Diaries. Yeah, it's a very famous book in like when I was younger. So, and also just learning about like magic, like Land of Stories, about how these two kids, they found out that their grandmother was the fairy godmother, like the one from Cinderella.
Yeah.
And I found that and I kind of thought these things were real. I still think they are, because, you have a good imagination.
Yeah.
But my favorite authors, I have to say, are David Williams, Bad Dad, Maynard Gang, and also Chris Colfer, yeah. But I also love adventure, about the mythology, the Greek mythology, Roman mythology.
So do you have any what your early books, maybe the ones you're reading? You say when I was young, you're still young though. But what are some of your earliest books? Perhaps I could see.
Well, also Geronimo Stilton.
Where is it?
There. This one. It's about a mouse and his life in the world. Like, it's not like, actually, they don't believe in humans. They just like basically they live in the world. Like, there's no humans. They just like their life, and they have jobs. They're bakers and stuff. And he's actually a newspaper editor. So he owns Stilton. I forgot the name, but it's really interesting. He does different adventures, goes to different countries, and these are real countries. Like, they have like the Niagara Falls and he just goes different places and discovers new things and writes them down on his newspaper. Yeah.
What would you say stood out for you in this one?
Well, it's kind of silly. I can't lie. He's like a Freddy person. Like, he's a kind of what stood out was that he was very adventurous, but at the same time he was very introverted. He's kind of like scared of everything. He's scared of like spiders, water. And then when I'm seeing that he's going on a cruise somewhere, and I'm like, really, this is happening? And like, what stood out was that the imagination that the writer had in this book was big. Yeah.
And this one also, I saw this one earlier. The Secret Seven.
Secret Seven, yes. It's also an adventure book. They have this small gang, 7 of them. They, like, when something bad goes in that town, because this book is based in London, like, they would what's it called, like, solve the mystery. And they were like so young. They were like probably younger than me, I am right now, and they would like save the world, like they were kind of like heroes. And I just love how they had they were all different, but they were all bringing the team together. Like, they were, like, for example, Janet, she was good in solving mysteries, and the others were just good in like running or like going to like spy on people to see what's happening. And it was just it was very interesting. I
Yeah.
just found it very interesting. Yeah.
So it's among your earlier books.
Yes, that's one of my early
I think
books.
when I was looking through your shelf, one of the books that stood out for me that I would want to start with is that one, The City of.
City of Saints and Thieves.
Yes. Tell us about this one.
This is one of the books that I read last year. One of my 20 books I read for my African literature club. And it's basically about this girl who was from Congo. And when there was a bit of like a war between the country, she moved to Kenya and with her sister and her mom. And when she went to Kenya, she got a job at this rich person's house. And when she was there with her mom was actually killed. And then, so after that, she was always suspecting was the owner, the rich white man who was working there, who lived there. And it's basically about her discovering that who it was. She actually joined a gang in Kenya to just get revenge on the person that killed her mom. And it's basically just finding out that it wasn't really the man that she thought it was. Like she was very focused on revenge. She was kind of blind. She didn't see that the person who actually killed her mom was just in front of her eyes. And it was like, I was going to tell her, the person who killed your mom was, the person who's, and it's like, I'm there and I'm experiencing with her. But the thing is, I didn't know that who the person, because I didn't know that it was the dad. And it was a shock. I actually just put down the book and I went for a walk, because sometimes books can really affect you like that. You are so hung up on the person that you thought it was, that when it actually hit you that it wasn't that person, you just,
So who was it? Who killed the mom?
her father.
From where?
Okay, so after her mom died and her young sister was sent to this missionary school, she joined a gang. I kind of forgot the name of the gang, but the gang was actually run by her father, and she never knew that because she never knew her father. So she's basically working for this man who promised to kill Mr. Greyhill, who's a rich man, if they steal these things from her house. So basically she goes to the house and she's about to like rob them, because she's very sly. She's like a spy in a way. And she goes there and she ends up getting caught by her childhood friend, who's actually the son of the rich person. And when she's there, she ends up telling her friend about how she thinks that her dad killed her mom, and the guy's like, no, my dad didn't do that. I'll help you find out who it was. And when she actually found out, she had a breakdown. Like, how could your dad kill your mom? That's sad.
The dad was also Congolese.
Yes, the dad was Congolese.
Also fled with them when they were fleeing the war.
No, they never knew the dad was.
But from where you say, what would you say this book brought to you or made you think about that maybe perhaps before this book you would, I wouldn't say blind on, but maybe you never gave so much attention?
I kind of found it suspicious that, she was just let into the gang. Like, she's 10 years old and when she joined, and I don't know how to explain. I just didn't, picture it. I didn't.
A 10-year-old in a gang.
Yeah. Like, she's living on the streets, but she's fine with that. She just, like, I remember when her childhood friend came to see where she lived, he was shocked. Like, she was living on a roof of someone's apartment, and she was like, oh, this is where I live. And she was so chill about it. Like, she wasn't like saying, oh, I wish I lived in a bit better house. She was just living there, and it was a bit shocking. Yeah. And
But how much do you know about Congo?
Not much. No.
Okay.
Also, like, when I told my mom gave me the book and I read the back, The person is written by I think she's from America, or but she was explaining like Kenya, like she explained like Sukuma Wiki, this and like that. You know how what you normally do in Kenya,
Yeah.
in Nairobi, but in Congo she didn't really like say a lot about that, because I don't really think, maybe she hadn't been there or something, but she hadn't really explained how it was. Like the reason why they were actually fleeing wasn't because of a war, there was because she got into a bad deal and they left, and I can't really remember the details because I read it last year, but I remember when in Congo that they had to like go through illegally. They went in a bus, but then you know how you have to get stopped and you have to pay bribes. She went actually at the back of a truck, and when she went there, she was experiencing how it was like smelling and stuff like that. And then, but then like you see, she wasn't explaining how Congo was, because maybe she hasn't lived there. She doesn't really know how it is there, because she was young when they moved.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I kind of found it sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds sad.
It does. But it was interesting.
Yeah.
It ended in a better way. It ended better.
All right. And then now, just right next to it.
Dawnbreak.
Yeah.
This is the first book of Alex Rider. He says you're never too young to die. Well, the book is about Alex Rider, of course. He's an orphan and he lives with his uncle, who says he's a banker, but he's actually a spy for MI6. And it's just talking about how this guy killed his uncle, and then because he was a spy, because he was been like ratting people out, and how he was recruited to go undercover, because nobody would suspect that a 14-year-old would be a spy. So the British government thought it was a good idea that he goes undercover and he spied on the guys who are in the Stormbreaker computer thing. Yeah, because they were suspicious of him. It was a very adventurous book. Like the things he had gone through at a kind of a young age, because you're not supposed to aspire before the age of 18 without training. But he really like pushed through. Like he went through some things, and it's a good book.
So you've read through the entire Alex Rider series, because I can see another one here. I think this is 8. What, the Crocodile Tears?
I haven't read the entire book. I finished until 9. I'm currently going to buy 10.
Crocodile Tears.
Yes.
Tell us about this one.
So, as you probably know, he wasn't really given a choice to become a spy. He was just told that, we just go there for us to like spy on them, nothing bad happened. But he actually almost died. And in Crocodile Tears, he had promised, he had gotten shot in the previous book, and he had gotten shot by this criminal association called Scorpia. So Scorpia is basically they stand for Sabotage, Cooperation, International Assassination, and they basically get paid by rich guys to deal with a situation. So in the book, he had promised that he would not join MI6 again or be recruited by someone just so they can use him. And he actually ends up going to Egypt, Cairo, to check on this international school, which they had thought that someone planned to bomb it. And when he was there, his guardian was kidnapped, and then he had to follow her. And when he was there, he ended up realizing that he was tricked. Like, how when you think that you're doing the right thing, but he was actually a plan to just get you there. They actually had not planned to like let the guardian go. They actually just tricked her, because they thought that they could get out because the door was open. There's some signs that something isn't right. So they thought that they could get out because she had seen that they'd leave the keys of the truck inside the truck. So like, that's a bit suspicious. Why would they leave them? You're kind of like that prisoners, right? But they kind of let her go so that they could explode the car in front of his face. because in the second book, Point Blank, the one of there,
Yeah.
Alex Rider goes to this school where this doctor makes clones of himself. And then you see, you know how some rich kids are kind of like troubled? Like they're kind of rich and stuff, they're spoiled. So what happens that this doctor had an idea. He would make 16 clones of himself, make them into these children of the rich people, then take those rich people kids away, make his clones go to that family, and then when the family dies, he gets the money, and then they come back and they live all together. And the thing was, Alex Rider was supposed to be the last clone. So the clone was called Julius Grief, and he was supposed to be Alex's friend because he went undercover. And what happened is that it didn't work because he found that out. He escaped, but Julius Grief escaped too. So he went there. They fought, but then he got caught by the police, and then he went to this special prison. And what happened was, when he escaped, the people wanted him to replace Alex Rider. Scorpia wanted that this man replaces Alex Rider. Like, they take him away, and then they like kind of expose MI6 for taking a 14-year-old as a spy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's just basically about his life.
What do you enjoy most about that series? What would you say keeps you going that now?
That he keeps going. Like he doesn't give up.
Yeah.
Like, he could be like trapped in a room that's filled with snakes, and he would still get out.
But then now, when you're looking at that series, perhaps, and you said some of them are, as much as it's fiction, it's. Do you think there is something, or maybe lessons that people can learn from such?
I kind of say be safe. Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's a life lesson, but you should always keep your eyes open, because like something could be wrong, but you don't really see it. Like, for example, like, you could be on your phone in the bus, and then you don't see that someone's actually robbing you guys. But I think that if you like put the phone away and you look around what's happening around, you notice things that are not like supposed to be happening, and you could actually like kind of like save yourself.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's a life lesson, but
A curious point. Oh, okay. Wow. And I think one of the things that keeps knocking my head is I'm a bit curious to know what your experience was with that book club. You said when you read books, and most of which were either African writers, you said?
Yes.
Yeah. What was your experience with that?
well, I kind of got new authors to read. And normally I'll just read the same. I got stuck a couple of times. Like, I'd reading the same books all the time because I wouldn't find a new thing to watch. But when I joined, you see, we're not all reading the same book. People are reading different things. People wouldn't like spoil the book for us. They would recommend it. I would, for example, like Infidel, like that book. My teacher was reading it, and he recommended it to me. So I wasn't really sure whether I wanted to read it or not. But when somebody reads it and they say that it's a good book, you should try it. I think you'd like it. It kind of motivates you to finish it. So I kind of just learned new authors. I never was really for reading African books because I didn't really think they were interesting. But they really are. Yeah.
Because I can see one of the most celebrated African writers, Chimamanda. Is this one of the books perhaps maybe you read in that series? Or what would you say of the books you read, which one stood out for you the most?
From Chimamanda?
Not necessarily from all the African writers you read through.
Okay, I'd have to say Infidel. Because the other stories that Chimamanda wrote, they weren't really giving life lessons.
Yeah.
They were just saying stories about people's experiences.
Tell us about Infidel.
But Infidel,
Yeah.
she was telling us about her life. I learned more about the Islam culture than I've had in my whole life. The things that they face, not so good things. I learned about because it's a real story, so like it's real facts. But it starts with Ayaan Hirsi Ali, and she lives in Somalia, and she's part of the clan, because you know they have clans. And I forgot the clan, but she was in Somalia, and she didn't want to. You know how the people are supposed to be just become wives of someone they don't even know without just thinking about them or even liking them. She just wanted to like do things. She wanted to read books. She wanted to be independent. So when she had to move countries, she was forced to be married many times. And the reason I read the book at the first place was because that I was having my teacher was reading it. Yes, I told you about that. And he was talking about how she had questions about her religion that people were not answering her. Like, for example, why do the women have to clothe themselves and the men not? And they were like, oh, because the women are going to lead the men into bad ways. But couldn't the men also do that too? She was also asking the question. Nobody was asking her. They're like, that's Allah's will, just do it.
Yeah.
But you should. What I really really wanted to read the book was that you shouldn't just blindly listen to your religion, because in Christianity, when you're born into Christian parents like I am, you're just supposed to be Christian. But you also have to find out, why you're Christian, like why you can church every single Sunday. You can't just be blindly following them without knowing what you think. So I was having a bit of problems with church, and I thought that maybe it would help me if I read her book. Like maybe I'd, realize what are her questions and how did she discover this. And at the end of her book, she's called an infidel, because an infidel is someone who they call America an infidel land, because they don't believe in Allah. They don't really have a religion there. They have Christianity, but they don't really have. It's not a must. She actually converted to Christianity at the end, because nobody's asking her questions. She can get killed for just asking questions or just saying her own opinion in the news, because she'd gone to Kenya, she'd gone to Dubai, and then she went to Holland as a refugee. And there people were like, she was also talking to people about how how his life was without without clothing yourself completely black or only where your eyes can see. And I kind of learned about how different things, like how when they're 13, all the women have to get circumcised. And when they were there, she was kind of forced to do it, even though she wasn't like supposed to. And it's very painful, by the way. And also she didn't, and then she realized that when she was in Holland, people were like, what exactly are you being pure from? Because they were told that they have to be circumcised because you have to be pure. But there was nothing really pure that was supposed to be from, like nothing pure. They were like getting, I don't know what the word is.
Yeah.
But she realized that her religion actually didn't really make sense, and it wasn't for her. So, and then also she was part of the government. She became a citizen of Holland, and yeah, she kind of made it in life.
Yeah. But you said also it sparked some curiosity even in you to just look at religion. And what are some of the questions that this book led you to asking yourself about Christianity, and what did you find out?
Well, I didn't really find out all my questions. I really didn't find any of my questions in the book. But one of the questions that I had was that when, kind of sounds a bit dumb, but like, how is God just there? It really troubled me for like the past year. I would like wake up in the morning and I'd be like, what's happening? What's the world? What's life? Why do we have life? Why do we have to be there? And like right now, why are we having this discussion?
Yeah.
Just questions that I couldn't answer. And my parents were always like, Wendo, that's just how God is. They weren't really answering my questions. I thought maybe a book would, or I would just check on like Google or something. But the book just kind of didn't help.
Yeah.
But it expanded my knowledge. Yeah.
But when you look at Ayaan's journey and self-belief really pushed her through this whole journey. But from your own personal reflection, how would you say that self-belief related to maybe you and the things you do?
How questions also relate to me.
Yeah.
Her questions are based out of curiosity. So, not I don't have the same questions as her, but some of the questions are based on like her God, the God of the Islam culture, and the questions were also based on God. So, when she was asking like why does Allah let this happen? Why does Allah let the husbands have many wives, or let the husbands beat the wives when they want to because they have the right to? My questions was just about how people are suffering, like example in Kenya, like so when you get out of my compound, you can see some people on the road, like if God was so nice or loving, what would be happening, or what would be like having these like plagues, or pandemics, or like the war in Israel and Ukraine, and the war in Israel and Gaza and Ukraine and Russia and the other wars in Sudan and other countries. I just wondered why bad things are happening in our country and in the world, and how people are suffering and stuff.
Yeah. Very good questions, guys. And if you're watching us, this is What's on Your Shelf. And today, in our first episode of this brand new season, we have the pleasure of hosting the very talented Wendo Marandu, 13-year-old who's done so much. A swimmer, plays the double bass in an orchestra, a basketballer. What don't you do? But remember that What's on Your Shelf is brought to you courtesy in partnership with Kenya National Library Service, who are the National Library Service in our Republic of Kenya, but also the Nuria Bookstore, who've been journeying with us through the past year. Nuria Bookstore are currently the leading online bookstore in this country. Yes, Kenya. Check them out. They are online at nuria.com, or also you can visit them at the first floor of the Baza Plaza. But what is this conversation bringing to you? What is it about what Wendo is saying that has stood out for you, especially when you're thinking about that book, Infidel? And I think these are questions that time and again we ask ourselves, and you would wonder. This whole conversation on religion, and it's purely anchored on a belief system. What do you believe in, and how do you respond to some of those questions? And I think I like that question where sometimes you ask yourself, you find yourself there a couple of times where you ask yourself, does God see these bad things? Is there a way he can stop it? Is there something that can happen? But now, if you were to meet Ayaan today, what are the questions you would ask her, and what would you want to know from her?
Her confidence. Like, I'm kind of a confident person, but her confidence is crazy. Like, she was being threatened by her own family, by her father, that if she doesn't stop, that she would get killed by them. But she just continued. She didn't care. She was saying her opinion on the news. She would say that this isn't right. Women are allowed to do this. Like, and one of the things I know about the end of the book, she was saying, in the book, in the Quran, one of the wives of Muhammad, I'm not so sure, but she was like younger than me by far. And do you think that it's right that a young girl gets married to an old person? And she was like, no, this is not right. And then people were like, no, but this is our religion. You can't say these things about us. But she had a point, like, that's not right. Yeah. And my question would be, how far are you willing to go so you could prove your point? Like, how could you prove that this isn't right?
Yeah.
And she didn't really say why she converted to Christianity in the book, but I'd probably ask her, how has Christianity changed your life? Yeah.
Good question. Ayaan, if you're watching us, she's right here. Tell us. Now, one of the books that I also found very interesting, and I've seen you review this book before, The President's Daughter. Tell us about The President's Daughter.
Well, this book is written by James Patterson. He's actually the number one best thriller writer in the world, and he wrote it with Bill Clinton, which is the former president, one of the former presidents of America.
Yeah.
And it's basically about the president, the ex. Okay, he's not really a real president. They made a new name for him, and he got voted out of the White House, and his daughter decided to go for like a picnic with one of her friends. When you're on the picnic, she actually got kidnapped by these guys, and they were demanding a ransom that the president didn't have anymore. So, but the thing is, one of these guys were associated with a gang in Saudi Arabia, and they were actually they were being looked for like everywhere in the world. So, when she was kidnapped, they were like doing different things, and I don't remember the book so well, but it was a good book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In one of your reviews, I saw you recommending this book to a certain group of people, and I think that is what got me curious to want to hear your thoughts about this book.
Okay, I'm not really sure one thing that is eye-opening, but all of James Patterson's books are eye-opening. Like, he's written different books, like Treasure Hunters, but most of his books are about murder mysteries. Like, one of the books I can recommend that I'm very sure about is Jack and Jill. He wrote, it's kind of the same thing, but it's not really about the same thing.
You have Jack and Jill here?
Actually, I do, but it's not here. It's in my room. It's basically about Jack and Jill. Those are the real names, but they are. So basically, the president did something bad in the country. This is happening in America, of course. Jack and Jill are two people, a woman and a man, that are proving something. They're trying to prove justice. So their point was that they would be taking the lives of different famous people in the world. Like they would, not in the world, but in America. Like the main character would be Alex Cross. He's an older version of Alex Rider. Basically, he's not the same person though. He has different books. He works in the police department in America, and he also just discovered what he was also like discovering about the killers and how they were doing this, because he was always one step behind. He wasn't so sure how they were doing this, so they were he just kind of, it's a good book. I just don't know how to explain how it's a good book.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know how to explain, but it's a good book. If you like murder mysteries and stuff, it's a good book.
Jack and Jill.
Jack and Jill.
All right. So moving on, one of the books I think I saw you look at earlier, this one here.
Percy Jackson.
Percy Jackson. Tell us about Percy Jackson.
Well, Rick Riordan writes about Greek mythology, and Percy Jackson is about Percy, who thinks that he's a normal schoolboy but he's actually a demigod. If you don't know what demigod is like the son of a immortal and a mortal. Immortal would be Poseidon in this case, and the mortal would be his mom. So his mom knew that Poseidon was a god, but he never said it. So his whole life he realized it was something different about him, but he never really pictured it. So when he was in school, one day he was on his way home, and his best friend Grover, who's actually I forgot the name of what they're called, but he's also one of those animals in the Greek world. So he was on his way and he saw these people, and then Grover knew that something was wrong. So they were actually being followed by this creature, and that's when they went to Camp Half-Blood, which is a camp where demigods learn how to fight the monsters and stuff. It's based it's also based in America, And it's very interesting about how he just discovers about his life, and he meets different people who are just like him. And what stood out for me was that like these people who are demigods, all of them had ADHD. So like me, I have ADHD. So like they use their powers, like their energy in the ADHD, or they wouldn't like let it define them. Like he would also have problems like reading stuff because the attention, different like focusing on and stuff. They would let it be a superpower. Like don't make it defining, but use it to your own benefit.
Yeah.
So I kind of like I could relate to him in a way. Like kind of he was always getting in trouble in school. Like I've had a bit of problem with that before, but that's one of the books I could relate to a bit.
Yeah. I think looking at this, the usual. That I like what it says here. I was just a normal kid going to school, playing basketball, like somebody I know, skateboarding, the usual, until I accidentally vaporized my math teacher.
Ah, yes.
Tell us about that part.
So they went to this museum, and his math teacher is actually a Pegasus. Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay. So Pegasus is it's a mythical animal. It's a horse, but it has wings and it's white. So his teacher he's been undercover as a math teacher. And when they were in the museum, one of the lady teachers that were with him turned into like a monster or whatever. And then what happened was that she got completely taken aback. He was shook. He was shaken. And he was shaken. And what happened was that his math teacher threw a pen at him, and it turned into a sword. And then when he started fighting him, he told Grover about how Grover, this teacher, she was like about to kill him and stuff like that. But like the thing was that teacher wasn't even real. They didn't even know about her. So when they found out that this person was not real, they realized something was wrong with him. But the thing was, nothing was wrong with him. He was a real person, but they wanted to like scare him a bit because the time would come when he would realize that he was a demigod. Yeah, it was the best part I think it's the best book I've read.
Okay.
I always try new things. Like I might not. My mom, she wanted me to read this book because she promised she'd buy me a James Patterson book. So I told her I'd read it. I didn't know what The Great Gatsby was, but I've heard of it. I actually ended up liking it. And it was just trying new things that made me try more new things,
Yeah.
Just
So what are you currently reading?
right now,
Yeah.
I'm reading 3 different things. I want to read the 10th Alex Rider book. I just started reading Extravaganza,
Which
City of Stars, the last book, Extravaganza,
Extravaganza.
with the face of the lady.
This one?
Yes, City of Stars.
This City of Stars is also a series.
Yes. It's a 5-book series, but
It's a 5-book series. So City of Stars.
I just found out about it
Extravaganza.
yesterday. So it's one of the books I'm started to read, and I'm also going to read the last book of King Chronicles, the 3rd one. City of Stars is
It's also among this one.
That's City of Flowers, I think. City of Ships.
City of. So you read several books at a go. Do you
Yeah.
read one, finish, move to the next one, or you can be?
I can be jumping. Yeah. It's because I find I remember if I start reading a series and then I stop reading the 5th book and then after a year later I come and read the 6th, I wouldn't remember what happened. So I like reading everything at the same time. Yeah. But I have to remember what happened. So it's fun though.
Yeah.
Jumping.
So perhaps there are other young readers who may be watching us today are so amazed at how much or how well you are. What worked for you? How would you encourage somebody? How do they start? Where do they start?
The first thing you have to do is just find out what you like. Like I'm sure almost everyone likes reading movies or series, and they probably have a category that they really like. Like it could be adventure, action, fantasy, fiction. But if you find that one thing that you generally like reading or generally like watching, it can be the same thing. Like you can like watching movies, and then you find a book that isn't the same movie or the same thing, but just also research on what books that you might like. But because also in textbook center they have these guys that are normally around, and they also like really help you. Like they ask you like what you really like, what you really like reading. And they show you the new books that they have, or books that are interesting. So yeah.
Okay. Do you have like a favorite reading spot?
Yes.
Where is that?
My bed. Okay, I love reading in nature and also my bed. I'm very comfortable. Okay, I love nature. I love like trees. I climb trees. I love reading in the pool. I don't know why. I like swimming, so I've become a fish.
So you read in the pool?
Yeah. Like I swim a couple of laps, then I go sit down in the pool, and then I read.
Oh.
But I have to make sure it's my book, not someone else's, in case they don't get it wet. But I also like reading in nature, yeah. Like reading on trees is really fun. You should really try that, yeah.
I think the trees one, and I don't think I know about the swimming pool one. I'm not sure. The tree one, I would agree. The bed one, I'll be gone in like less than 60 seconds. Yeah. But do you ever plan of writing yourself or writing a book yourself?
That's funny because my mom actually had the idea a couple of days ago. But no, I'm not sure. Maybe I'll find my way, but right now, I just wanna, read books and expand my knowledge or expand my imagination.
Yeah.
And
But-
you?
Actually, I've written one already,
Really?
not published yet.
Oh.
But I think I finished one already. I have a manuscript for a book that I gave to the editor. They edited, but I just held it back. And I'm currently writing one.
What is it about?
Happiness.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I love happiness. Food makes me happy.
Food makes you happy. What's your favorite food?
What's pasta? My favorite food has changed over the years. I used to really love burgers. I used to love fries. My favorite food now is, as I said before, chicken and mushroom pasta. But I will never stop loving chapati.
Chapati. That is something that unites us. Chapati is my favorite. I can eat chapati.
Yeah.
Like you see the way the doctor prescribes 3
Yeah.
times one in the morning, at lunch, and in the evening. I can do that.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. I tell people some funny story when I was still a couple of years ago when I was starting out. There's a year I think I ate chapati every day.
Wow.
That the lady who was making chapati outside there knew if I had not gone for my chapati, she would keep one.
Oh,
two.
that's so nice. So they call a streak. You want streak?
I think I'm addicted to chapati.
I love it. It's so soft. It's really jiggy with hot chocolate or coffee or tea. Any's fine. Okay, I don't know about water. But itself is good.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, okay. So but when you look through the books you've read over the years, what are some of the things that you would say have stuck with you that have really shaped how you look at things, how you do things, how you reason out with stuff?
Well, not really changed me, but pushed me to do some things. Like standing up for others. I really like justice. And some of the books that I've read are like about people who don't really get what they want, or like forced to do things that they don't want to do. Because it's maybe part of that family thing or part of what they're supposed to do in life. I've always wanted to do my own thing. Like, I have a small business. So, you know how people normally get pocket money? I don't really get that. My family, we have to make our own money. We have to be. Because, at the end of the day, you're not going to, with your parents the whole time.
Yeah.
You have to also make a living out of yourself. So, I wanted to start a loom business. Loom bands. You know loom bands? Loom bands.
Loom bands.
Those like rubber bands that you make
Yes.
bracelets out of.
Yes.
I wanted to start a business of that a couple of years ago. I think I was like 5.
When you were 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, okay. So I would try convince my sister to buy for me because she was 10 then, but she never really bought for me. So when I was 9, we started having these things at church. So we'd have these like sales where we'd like have gatherings and stuff, and then people would sell their things. So I started making loom bands, and then for the first time I made 10K, and I was so happy. I was so happy. Yeah.
You made 10,000 shillings at 9, when you're 9 years old.
Yeah, 9 and 10. Okay, not 9, 9, 10. Yeah.
Wow. So what was this small business? What is this small business you run today?
Well, I sell some of my books, not all my books. Some. I like making bracelets, but I've kind of stopped because not all the time people want bracelets. So I'm currently making a different product. Like I want to make emotional verses. Not verses. Like make a box. So like a box, and there are many different emotions. So I want to have different like slits. So I put different verses from the Bible that make you feel happy, or make you feel better when you're angry, or different emotions when you're sad or you're skeptical, you don't know what to do.
But now, when for people who are watching us today, what is one lesson you wish they can learn from this conversation we've had today? What would you say you wish their takeout to be, or learn from you?
Okay, maybe that. Okay, I'm not sure.
No, it's okay.
But maybe books are better than movies. Like I said before about how movies are not always the same thing that happened in the book, but majority of the movies that are people who had a story and they made it into a book, and then that person made it into a movie.
Yeah.
But by watching the movie, you're just like consuming it. But by reading it, you're also like learning new words. Like if you're younger and you don't know what like a big word is, you're also learning new knowledge, and also you're learning how to imagine things without watching the movie. Because with the movie, you don't really have like the imagination already. You're just watching it or someone else's imagination. But reading books just helps, and it's also an distraction, and it's.
When do you have a brain bigger than a 13-year-old? Thank you so much for being on What's on Your Shelf. It's been amazing to have you. But now, starting this season, we will have this, as always, the last segment of this show, where you get to recommend a book to our next guest. So, what book would you recommend to our next guest?
I'm not sure about Infidel, but it's kind of a tough book. Like my mom kind of said before she got it for me. Infidel is a tough book, but it's a good book at the same time. Yeah, but what I'm very sure about is Alex Rider. I'm sorry, I have to say.
All right, which particular one? Because it's a series. You have one particular
book. My favorite book.
Yeah.
Of Alex Rider. Scorpio Rises. I don't have it here because I bought it for my friend, but it's the 9th book. It's after this one.
Scorpion
Rises.
Yeah. Is number 9.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh wait, I made a mistake. I think. I think I explained Scorpio Rises for Crocodile Tears.
Okay.
Sorry, but.
So, what you talked about is Scorpion Rises. Okay.
About how the guardian gets kidnapped and then he has to go. Yeah, but that's Scorpio Rises.
To book the first sports shoe that you will make. I don't know how long. So it's you to now figure out how long I will have my sports show. Thank you so much for journeying with us to this very, very end. But what I would want to ask is, have you subscribed to the channel yet? Please do that, because that helps us get even better guests to interact with on this show. But what have you taken out of this conversation today? Sitting with a super talented 13-year-old Wendo Marandu, who's a swimmer, double bass player in the Safaricom Orchestra, a cyclist, a triathlete who has a race tomorrow morning, a swimmer who swims and reads at the same time. It's easier to say the things she doesn't do, but an amazing guest for What's on Your Shelf. To you, who's journeyed with